Yo,
All right,
what's
what's up?
going on,
Oh,
y'all? Welcome into Cardinalytics and Arizona Cardinals podcast, hosted by fans for the fans. Here on October 10th, 2024, a couple days removed from Arizona Cardinals' victory over the San Francisco 49ers. We haven't had too many victory podcasts on this over the last 2 years, so we are definitely going to celebrate this one, even though it's a couple days removed. Here with my co-host Shad. Hopefully, we'll be joined somewhat in some fashion by my other co-host Jake. Will explain why we couldn't see him, but Shad. How you feeling after this Cardinals victory this week?
feeling great, bro. Like, hey, it's always a good day. At least for me, it's always a good week if Alabama loses and the Niners lose, and it's even more sweet when we beat them. So, hey, I'm feeling really good.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more, bro. Y'all know how I feel about the 49ers. I think they're a lucky team, very fraudulent team, and I'm glad that we were on the right end of victory against them. I know last 2 years they've swept us, and I feel like 3 out of those 4 games, well, is a fact that Kyler Murray hasn't played in 3 out of those 4 games. But at the end of the day, I still thought that we could be competing with them more so, and it was good to see obviously that turnout for us on Sunday. So let's get straight into it, man. It started out with a bang. Kyler Murray, let's talk about him, his performance. He started out with a bang with the crazy 50-yard run, throwing up the deuces at the 43-yard line. Shout out to Arizona Cardinals Twitter. They actually tweeted under me when I quoted their tweet with the picture. I said, "This is a new Twitter header." I kind of meant that for myself, but they said, "Should we do it?" And I know
they
all
gonna,
of us
they
were
gonna take
underneath
that.
yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
I know all of us were underneath that as well, saying, "Yeah, oh yeah, go to it." So, shout out AZ Cardinals
hmm
Twitter for that. But Kyler Murray performance, it was very up and down. I think a lot of people, especially 49ers fans or mostly like the outside critics of Kyler Murray, thought he didn't play too well. Thought he had a decent, solid game in my opinion. But overall, like, what did you take away from Kyler Murray? His performance in San Francisco. Now this makes Kyler Murray now 2-1 in San Francisco. So, pretty
Yeah.
interesting there.
Nah, I mean it was a great performance. Well, it was a good performance. I wouldn't say great, but like it started off with a bang, like you mentioned, with the 50-yard touchdown run. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to Cardinal Rule Joe Como. What's up, guys? Appreciate you for stopping in for the pod.
What's up, Joe?
But no, it started off really good, bro. And then it kind of weathered itself, but then he did what he needed to do in the second half, and it's like, hey, we got Kyler Murray on this team. We should feel confident in the second half of the game that if it's close, like we should be able to win the game, and that was the outcome. So I can't complain, man. It was a good performance from him.
Yeah, I thought his ability to stay within the game. A lot of people put this notion out there of when he threw that pick to Bosa, his body language, and I can agree with them. I'm not really talking about body language so much, so I'm really meant so more of I wish I would have saw him in the play trying to make a tackle on Nick Bosa. I don't know where he went on that play. Maybe he got
Yeah, I
lost in
don't
the
know where he
shuffle
went.
or anything like that. I haven't got a chance to look at the film in full, but like I would have wanted to see him do that. But at the same time, like people were talking about, he started sulking on the sideline. He runs to the bench. He doesn't really galvanize the troops, and I thought at the end of the day they were about to go into the locker room regardless of that situation. So if you can have those moments, I feel like probably Kyler does have those moments inside of the locker room, and you may not see it on the bench and stuff like that. But overall, outside of the interception that happened, I don't think it was crazy his fault. I mean, I thought he could have possibly looked over there one quick second and seen that. But at the end of the day, when you're sitting behind a tackle who's getting wide as Kelvin Beachum does in the plays like that, and DeMarcado doesn't chip the end, and the end instead of rushing because Kyler Murray's head was to the middle of the field, so he expected Nick
Yeah,
Bosa to be rushing, which is what he should have been doing. Except he peels off and with a great feel and makes an All Pro type of play. And people were trying to kill him for that. But outside of that, um, you have some throws that you miss here and there, but at the same time, Kyler Murray again has shown to us that he can have some type of signature moments and moments in the clutch. And you saw that in that fourth quarter with yes, it was engineered by the run, but at the end of the day, there were multiple passes that were made that were accurate passes that got us first downs and got us completions and got the chains moving and kept us going down the field. So overall, if Kyler Murray can be average like that in terms of an average football game from a quarterback standards and you still win, what happens when he plays really good? That's to me
yeah,
is like there's nothing but improvements left here for this offense in general. That goes for both the wide receivers. James Conner has been a horse all season, toting the rock. But your offensive line, obviously, Will Hernandez, who we'll talk about, I guess, a little bit, will be now out for the season with his knee injury. that he got rolled up on, and but at the same time they still have room to improve there. And so it's good to see this offense have a decent day enough to where you have a little bit of success there and there, and then still have room for improvement to be even better. But again, 49ers defense is legit. Like, let's not act like this is a defense that just gives up 30 points at will. Like, they don't
Yeah.
do that often. So you scored enough points to win that football game, and that's really at the end of the day what it was.
Oh,
And
no.
I was just proud of Kyler Murray sticking with the plays and not letting those interceptions and deflating plays continue to get into his emotions and his thought process. And I thought he was really good in that second half, especially that fourth quarter.
Yeah. My favorite, I guess, takeaway from the game was just the fact that this was the first time in a long time that we've saw like complementary football in the second half. It wasn't just that the defense was balling out and the offense couldn't do anything. It wasn't just that the offense was balling out and the defense couldn't do anything. We had two crucial turnovers, and after both of those turnovers, we went down and what I'm saying, we scored to either tie the game or seal the game. Like, basically the last like four possessions of the game was a touchdown from us, a fumble, forced fumble, a field goal to basically take the lead, and then an interception to close out the game. Like, we haven't seen that complimentary football in a long time, and like that was like to me the most encouraging part. And I know how tough it is to do that on the road against the Niners. Like like division game, and the defense shows up and the offense shows up when we need it. Like, I don't know. I during halftime of that game, like, we were in the chat and we are just talking. We're just like, look, this isn't looking too good. Like, we weren't sure what was going to happen in the second half, but exactly what we needed to happen happened. And for me, that was the most encouraging part.
Yeah, definitely. Like that at the end of that first half, you just get to thinking like, oh man, here we go again. And again, it was like, as you mentioned, the complimentary football. The Niners were driving, but you were holding them in the red zone, and they had that one play. They had the one drive where Kittle was just, I mean, butt booty naked open. I don't know who was supposed to guard him on that possession, but he walked down
Yeah.
there right into the end zone from the 5 yard line and just caught the ball. So you couldn't have made it any easier for them to score a touchdown. But outside of that, you made it completely difficult for them to score a touchdown. And like you mentioned, you got a big. I think that was either Roy. I think it was Roy Lopez that got his hands on the ball. And again, a lot of people
Yep.
talk about Kyler Murray's batted balls. Brock Purdy is the one who also had deals with batted balls, but nobody seems to want to talk
Everybody.
about
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
so at the end of the day, like you get a couple hands up, and it's funny. Like I don't know who posted it on Twitter or something like that. One of the reporters, they were just showing the defensive line getting their hands up on balls and batting balls in practice and just going to a bat ball drill, and you see how it kind of comes to fruition on Sundays and how things work like that. So, but you have Roy Lopez bat a ball up, Mac Wilson with a crazy with a crazy diving interception. It's funny, both of our linebackers had diving interceptions, which is pretty hilarious. But just like you said, complimentary football and making your making your moments matter. I should say when you do get a turnover, right? They had their
Yeah.
block kick, and they took it back for a touchdown. Which, I mean, outside of that, with that block kick, like you want the kicker to kick the ball higher, but the ball literally bounced into number two's hands, and he caught and he was able to run immediately. Like, it wasn't even a chance for him to bobble the ball or anything like that. So
Yeah.
that
And
that
you
to me
and you
was
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say that to me was just a little bit lucky in terms of their ability to score a touchdown on that play. Like, yeah, they could have drove and scored a touchdown, but at the end of the day, they also only did that one out of however many times
One
they drove
time.
and did
Yep.
that. So um,
Yep.
that touchdown in general to me felt a little bit lucky. And then Nick Bosa, like I said, made a play. But overall, like, you got your turnovers with the Mac Wilson interception, and then the Jesse Luketa fumble that was caused. Shout out to Jesse Luketa. Um, those two turnovers, you were able to generate obviously points, and then the third turnover sealed the game. So like you said,
Yeah.
the complimentary football was just a beautiful sight to see, and it was even better to see that in adversity in the second half after a game that you played where you were down all game to the Commanders. So definitely good to
They
see.
and you look at like the play or the drive by drive, like they only gave up one touchdown this game. Like you mentioned, like the blocked field goal, like that's kind of fluky. Like, I mean, special teams, like crazy play, like you give that up. But like outside of that, they gave up one touchdown this game. And in the second half, I know the Niners kicker got hurt, but every possession ended in a turnover for the Niners. Either it was a turnover on downs, a fumble, an interception. Like every drive ended in a turnover. So like just I don't know, just crazy turn of events. Like we've talked about how this defense can be up and down, or it will be up and down this year, and that was just like I mean, it was at its peak this past weekend, second half. So like hats off to them. Like who we was giving Kaiser shit, who was
Yeah, we
giving
were.
Jalen Thompson shit, and
We
those
were,
two
weren't
guys
we?
made some of the biggest plays of the game.
Yeah.
Like salute to them. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny. Like I don't know if you watched Kaiser's, I think it was a press conference or maybe just an interview. Like they were talking to him, and he
Yeah.
was just talking about how like he gave up that first down to George Kittle when he got ran over, and
Hmm.
he went to the sideline. He was just like, "Yo, I got to get that back." Like,
Hmm.
there's no way that. And we was talking about that in the chat. Like, bro, how is this dude? Like, this dude hasn't done anything, and he gives up this first down. Like, we was pissed in the chat, and
Yeah.
he recognized that, and he was just like, "Hey, I got to do something. I got to make up for this. I know I'm gonna make up for this." And he ends up,
Hmm.
I think he recovered the fumble, from Jesse Lucetta, and then he also did he get the pick to seal the game?
What's it
I
called?
think he got the pick to seal
Mac
the game,
Wilson. No, say Mac Wilson got the fumble and that first pick, and then he got the and then
and then Kaiser
Kaiser
got
got
the
the
pick to seal
pick.
the game.
Yeah, he got the pick at the end.
Yeah,
That's funny because I literally was about to mention that. I was about to mention how he said he got ran over by Kittle, and then he came
yeah,
back and made that play. So because I was fresh when I
yeah,
saw him get run over by Kittle for the first time, I said no way. I said, come on, Kaiser,
yeah,
I need a play like from you specifically. So it was good to see obviously him walk away with that. And before we continue, just let's put this notion out there. Like I put this on Twitter. I don't think it's got too much love. But like, can we like can we? I personally like. Yes, I understand the kicker situation and it sucks, but like to me personally, your kicker, their kicker was not. It wasn't like it was a random core muscle injury, or it wasn't like it was a random like hamstring that started swelling up, or we know whatever the case may be. He got his injury on the kickoff from DJ Dallas running him over. That is how he got hurt. So to me, like that is just like any. That's just like if Fred Warner were to go out there and tackle somebody and he would get hurt. To me, that's the same exact thing. So I personally don't want to hear the kicker excuse. Like at the end of the day, it is what it is. Like get close enough, go score touchdowns. If you know you don't have a kicker, go score touchdowns. Like that to me is the biggest thing overall with that. So, um,
and I
you
mean, and
know
they still made a field goal with they punter to close out the
exactly.
half.
That's
So
and
it's
that's
like
exact. Thank
they
you,
could have, like you said, they
thank
could have
you.
gotten close enough to kick a field goal.
Absolutely. Like
But
when they had that long third down, they could have made it third and close, and then got enough to get the field goal right there. But people are talking about they didn't trust the field goal kicker, so why they go for it on 4th and 23? That's because they wanted to pin us back and doubt the defense was going to stop us. That's why, to me, that's why they did that. I think
yeah,
wholeheartedly if they felt like their defense quote unquote wasn't good and or they didn't think that we would be able to get stopped, they would have kicked the field goal from the distance that they got stopped from, or that they had to go through when they went for that in 4th and long. So, like to me, that was just they got outplayed. The Cardinals went down the field and scored on them. They got outplayed, in my opinion. So, I'm not really hearing that Jake Moody stuff, buddy. Don't try to tackle DJ Dallas. He's almost 100 pounds bigger than you. That's your fault. I mean, you got
that is
rolled
his
up on.
fault.
That's your fault. So,
Yeah, that
um,
is his fault.
but yeah. So offensively, I know we kind of mentioned this in the chat too. Talked about Marvin a little bit. Kind of had again another game where he kind of missed a couple struggles and a couple catches here and there. I know Jake mentioned it. Especially he kind of wants to see Marvin be able to make a couple more contested catches here and there. But um,
Yeah,
what are you making of Marvin's game right now? Are you like me personally? Um, I'm just it's he hasn't been what I think he can be as a receiver because at the end of the day, I don't think we're asking him to do certain things that other receivers are being asked to do. So
yeah,
overall, just he's clearly being what the offense wanted to be, which is one player that you can have on your offense to keep people away from other players on your offense that you want to make a play for. So like when there is one-on-one isolation completely, Kyler Murray will look to him. As you saw, he kind of got tied up on the one play with Yadam on the outside that I thought that he kind of just has to get a better feel of. I'm running a vertical route, but at the end of the day, the vertical route's not really going to be thrown a vertical route. It's going to be thrown a back shoulder ball because that's the easiest throw for my quarterback to make and for me to catch off of a one-on-one coverage. So I think he'll get a
yeah,
feeling for that as time goes on. But it's the stuff that I would like to see him going over the middle more and being trusted over the middle because so far going over the middle he hasn't had too many catches. So, what are you making of Marvin's game? Are you feeling a little bit down on him so far? Like, 'cause I know at halftime I made a crazy take. I
Um,
will not say it on this podcast because I just don't. I don't want the world to know how I feel. I was so
yeah, nah.
steadfast on where I was, so I don't want the world to know how I feel. But how are you feeling about his game so far, and what could he improve on?
I think right now, like production wise, he's kind of where I expected him to be at. Um, like I never really expected Marv to just come in and be like this 1,500 yard like Puka Nakua, Jamar Chase type rookie season. I kind of expected him to be what he is in this offense. But the thing that I'm most disappointed with, I guess, is just the easy stuff, right? Like it's like he'll have easy drops here or easy catches that he should make, but they end up being drops. And yes, he is a taller dude, he's a bigger dude, so like you expect him to kind of make those contested catches. Um I still agree with you in that like we were told he was generational. I'm not saying he's bad. He's not bad in any means. Like he's still a good player, but I just feel like he's not the automatic pro ready guy that like everybody expected him to be. He's still a rookie and you can see that and there's still some things that he needs to work on. And just like how you mentioned like, him running the fade route and kind of like not really expecting the back shoulder throw to be there. It's like, hey, if you were in college, yeah, you're just gonna run by the dude. But like now you're in the league and like these dudes are a lot better than the guys that you play week to week to
Yeah,
week in college. Like
yep.
the ball is gonna be thrown differently. Like things are going to be
Hmm.
different. So he just has to get used to that. But the one dude I did want to highlight, which you kind of bring up a good point with, like he is doing his job in that defenses are keying in on him and like they are like kind of, you know, uh, adding, rolling people over there in coverage and like double teaming him and stuff like that. And that's been
Hmm.
given a lot of opportunities to Michael Wilson. And Michael Wilson quietly over the last 3 weeks has been has been producing like crazy. Um,
Yeah.
I want to say this past week he had 6 catches, 5 catches for 78, and then the
Hmm.
week before that against the Commanders, I think he led the team in receiving yards against the Commanders, and then or maybe not the Commanders, but against Detroit he had 8 catches for 64 yards. So like he's
Yeah.
quietly been doing his thing. He doesn't have the touchdowns, but in terms of like taking that pressure off of Marv or like going to somebody else, like Michael Wilson has been stepping up in that number 2 role. And I'm actually really excited to see how Zay Jones is gonna fit in all of this when he gets back.
Yeah. I I'm with you. Like I just think like you think about that play that he made versus Michigan State when he caught the ball between his nuts,
Oh, on the
basically
sideline and the
on the back
touchdown,
shoulder. Yeah,
the
and
back, yeah, yeah,
you can see that was kind of a little bit more down the field, and those routes were able to be developed a little bit, so where he can kind of because again Marvin off the line of scrimmage isn't like a blazer off the line of scrimmage, so guys aren't probably thinking I have to hurry up and get back off of him real quick because he's more so gonna beat me off of a technicality, and so like he has to learn that those plays in the NFL are gonna be probably like a second or two faster. And again, if he has the wherewithal to know, okay, this back shoulder is coming at this point when my quarterback takes his 1-2 drop or 3 drops and he's gonna put sit there and plan it, like he has to understand to just expect that ball to come faster, like let them call a penalty. Like to me, it's like
yeah,
I don't understand why he's not making these defenders fight through his body. Like you got your size, you're 6'4", 200, however many pounds you are. Like you need these guys to fight through like your body in order to defend them. Like that. So to me, I want to see him be better at just reading the defender or getting the defender to make them play through him because we all know that's always going to be a penalty on the defense, not the offense. So like, it's just little things like that that are going to come with his game, and there's little nuances that he's going to have to learn about the NFL in general. Like you can only
yeah,
see it so much from your father and the greats that you've watched so far, but being in it and getting the feel for it is only going to come. And at the end of the day, he is a player that makes crucial plays for you. He's an alpha one receiver, and sometimes those alpha one receivers aren't always like massive stat gainers. Like I mean, Fitz at the end of the day, like he had his runs and stuff like that, but he wasn't always a massive stat gainer. Sometimes he just made a crazy catch for us on third down, or maybe he just made a
yeah,
big play here and there. So if Marvin can be that for me this year and eclipse maybe double digit touchdowns with the way that we feed him in the red zone, even if the yards aren't there and the catches aren't there consistently, like I'm okay with what we got, but I do want to see him, as the season goes on, make sure that he's learning a little bit better and make sure that he's understanding a little bit better, like what's there for me and how I can win one on one anytime I get it. Because honestly, the more success that he has, he'll have to understand that the more attention that he'll seek, the more coverages that he'll type of get, like the more coverages, especially in Buffalo, the way they were shading over
Yeah,
top of him and underneath of him, like that was his first game, so I know he probably was like, "What the fuck?" And anytime he gets one on one, it's like at this point, I got to be able to win, and that's what he has to understand now. So, not too
yeah,
upset about it. Like I said, I was kind of more
and
hurt on Sunday because it wasn't capitalizing, but when you make a big play like you made on fourth down, 4th and 5 for
yeah,
Kyler, and just knowing where to be at, making sure you're securing that catch and using your sides right there. Hey, you got my attention, you got my heart all the way.
yeah, yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. Like that play that he made on fourth down, like you make those plays, like I'm cool with you. Like I feel like what I'm saying he hasn't been the as pro ready as people said he was gonna be. But like if he's going out there and he's making the layups and he's making the clutch plays like in that situation, that's what we drafted him for. And like even if he doesn't put up the yards like you're talking about, like the numbers, the big numbers, as long as he's
Yeah,
making those plays, like I'm fine with how he's been performing. Real
yeah,
quick, I wanted to highlight what Dana said in the chat. She said that his explosive plays and separation has consistently come on crossing routes and with horizontal movement. She was expecting more from him on the X fade. I'm assuming that's the slot fade, or is that on the outside X?
probably either like the back shoulder fade
The
and the
back
X
shoulder fade,
position.
yeah, back shoulder
That's
fade.
probably what I'm thinking.
Okay.
What's up, Dana?
And then she also said drops on contact are frustrating because he's big and strong enough that she feels like
Yep,
it shouldn't be as common as it has been. And I agree with that. Like
yep,
the drops, to me, that's the most frustrating part. Like um, he should be making more contested catches. Like, and it's not like the balls aren't hitting him in the hand, or hit him in the chest. Like it's just been flat out drops.
yeah,
And he's we like you said, we were told that he's generational. So I'm demanding greatness. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm
yeah.
demanding greatness. So that's how I'm gonna judge him.
And
So yeah, that has been
meanwhile
frustrating.
your boys, their respective teams is doing everything that they could possibly can to be much better. So like it just you just
It's
want to see
context.
him.
It's context though. It's context when
Yeah,
it comes to them though. It's
that's fair.
oh
That's
dang.
fair.
Seattle just broke for a long touchdown. Is that
Oh
LaVisca
wow,
Chenault? That is
that
LaVisca
just kept
Chenault.
them in the
I didn't even
game a
know he was
little
on
bit.
18.
That just
Yeah,
kept them in the
they about
game
to
a
be
little
down
bit.
by they about to be down by 13.
So but yeah, overall like wrapping up offensively, I thought Drew Bessing had a much better day in terms of creativity. Can't go. I don't want to go without this podcast without mentioning his name. Like, he was under fire a lot after last week and maybe the first half of this or the first month of the
Everybody
season.
was.
But
Yeah.
I just thought a lot of the play, like again, you started running Kyler, which again we know the formula. I don't understand how you can look at a stat and not utilize a stat. I know sometimes defenses try to like kind of dictate, try to take that away, but there are ways to draw it up at the end of the day. And if it has that much success in terms of winning the football game, you're gonna have to get to it. So, and it almost feels like when Kyler is running, he gets into the game a little bit more, just because he gets that feeling of adrenaline rushes, and sometimes that's all it really takes. It sometimes. So, um, wow, I just thought about it. We're no longer the only team to have a kickoff return for a touchdown. So thanks a lot, Seattle.
Oh, that's what that was a kickoff return? Okay. I
Yeah,
was wondering because I'm like, I didn't even know he was on their team, but yeah, I guess he's a
yeah.
kickoff returner.
Thanks a lot, Seattle. Thanks for letting us have the only thing that we could possibly have.
Look,
So
uh, well, I'm about to say, I just want them to make Seattle and I mean San Fran 0-3 in the division.
yeah, that would be definitely a solid boost personally. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Drew Petzing, like I said, the success that you had with Kyler running the ball, and then you saw a lot of like read options and stuff like that. You saw they mentioned it over ESPN, NFL Live. Mina Kimes and Dan Orlovsky was talking about the 12 and 13 personnel read option plays, which kind of forced them to play a certain type of way. And then you're putting Kyler out there with faster guys, and probably that's why he was so confident to chuck up the deuce 43 yards away because he's going out there against linebackers and he knows linebackers aren't catching him. Because if you remember, I was actually watching like a couple like edits of Kyler Murray and some of his plays and stuff like that the other day. But like
Hmm.
that run that he had against the Colts on Christmas, he didn't chuck up the deuce right there because he knew he still had to
He
route run
knew.
some
Yeah.
safeties and corners and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But when he got the like you
Yeah.
say, when he got the level, and he seen Hufanga come down, and then he was even with I don't know who 53 is, but I saw he was kind of even with Devondre Campbell as well. That was just that was easy money for him, as we know he likes to talk about. So, but just the plays like that, the goal line play, the jump pass, kind of doing like a almost a QB power, and
Tebow-esque.
yeah, and
Hmm.
it's funny to me that they fell for that because they should know that he's not going to run a play like that. Like anybody, if you're smart, you should know he's not going to run a play like that because he's not going to bang his body. We don't even do tush pushes. So like that was
Hmm.
kind of like low key deception. But as a Cardinals fan, I was like, okay, yeah, he got away with one because when he started doing it, I was like, hold on, are they about to run QB power with Kyler? And I was like, no way. And then obviously, he threw it to Elijah Higgins. Shout out Higgins, great way
Yeah.
to get his feet down in the back of the end zone. But plays like that, the one pass that Marvin didn't get, it was kind of like an over route that the linebacker was kind of underneath. I think if Kyler Murray threw a better ball there, that might have been an even better play. So like
Are you talking about was that early in the game? I think that was
it
like the
was
first
yeah,
drive.
I don't know if it was the first drive or not, but it might have been the second drive. Because I think Marvin got like
Okay.
two targets on the second drive. I think that's what it was, and that was the second one, I believe.
I
Because
think
I
I
think they
know what
went
you're
to him with a
talking
back shoulder
about.
fade, and then it went with that one. And people were like, "Damn, why Marvin isn't fighting through contact on that one?" I just thought Kyle didn't throw a great ball, but I did like to see him,
Yeah.
be in a position to be able to, run a type of over route, kind of how he scored against the Rams on. So.
Hmm.
That to me was nice to see. Obviously, you got the run game going in the second half. Um, Trey McBride, dropped his end zone pass that Kyler threw a great ball on. So I thought he had a decent feel
Yeah.
for the
That was
game.
a
He didn't,
touchdown.
yeah, they didn't abandon the run too quickly, even being down 13, because you kind of hold on, you was like,
All right. Oh, while you doing that, I'm gonna address some comments. Dana said, yeah, the outside X in college, he was able to manipulate the defender. Yeah, it does seem like he's overthinking. I mean, but I feel like that's just him just, with him being a rookie, like I feel like, he's still getting adjusted to the game. Like I just think that
yeah,
everybody had these expectations on Marv to be just like super pro ready, and then he's still a rookie, And
yeah,
we're not asking him to do a lot per se, but like it's not like we're just manufacturing touches to him on like jet sweep passes and stuff and just easy stuff. So like, yeah, I could see that. I could see him kind of overthinking some things. Um, and then shout out to Greg for being here. He said, "Where is Higgins from?" Um, I think Elijah Higgins went to Stanford. I think.
yeah. He was
He
at
went to
Stanford.
Stanford.
What's up, Greg?
Yeah. And last, who we got? Reggie Chapman. Corey Victor blaming the kicker.
You feel me? That was his
Oh,
fault. You
man.
can't get mad. You can't use that as an excuse when that was his fault for getting ran over. It is what it
Yeah,
is.
you can't. Shout out to Reggie though. That's my boy. Salute to him for being here,
For
reporting.
sure, appreciate you. But yeah, just overall, just good offensive day. Not could be, and obviously good offensive day, but in terms of it not being a great offensive day, we know it can be better because we've seen it be better. And the talent is there to be better. So, and like I said,
Yeah,
shout out James Conner, good to see him. And who do you think
that's
real
my
quick?
MVP, by the way,
Yeah,
of the game. James
I was
Conner.
gonna say
That's
real
my
quick, who do you
MVP.
think on that defensive side or not defensive side, but at least on that right guard is going to prevail with taking the job for the long time because you know how they used it last year where they kind of rotated left guards. You think they try that again, or is that somebody's earned that spot? Like does Cologne earn that spot? Does Adams? You kind of want him to earn that spot, but at the same time, I don't know. I wouldn't. They're not playing some
I
other
think
rookies early, so I wouldn't know. But maybe it's that this could be a practice
I
the
think
position kind of thing.
I think you want Adam like ideally you want Adams to earn the spot, right? Because he's your third round pick. But
Yeah,
I feel like they're probably gonna go with Cologne. I mean, Cologne looked fine when he came into the game, like, and I mean he was there last year, so like they have familiarity with him. So I feel like they're probably just gonna roll with him out there.
yeah. Cologne, he
It's
blocks well
it's
enough in
crazy.
the run game at the end of the game to kind of get that trust, maybe. So we'll see.
Yeah, it is crazy that we spent money on the offensive line and it's still the same from last year.
It's just so frustrating. Like it just feels like
It's still the exact same.
it feels like these like these chances to have players like Will Hernandez was down, and then as you mentioned, Jonah Williams went down, and then uh, Justin Jones goes
Justin
down, and
Jones.
it's like
Bilal, I think Bilal came back in the game, even though
yeah,
he got
Bilal
hurt
Bilal came
last
back
game. He
in.
came back.
But
Hmm.
now that I mentioned Justin Jones and Bilal, let's go ahead and switch over to the defense. My biggest takeaway from the defense is that we like the Sean Murphy button stuff. I I want to talk about other things about his defense and I'll get into it, but like he has to play better. He has to. There is, and I don't know what maybe we're asking him to do defensively, but I have to see him play better. It's kind of disappointing to see him in the way he's playing because if he was even an average level corner, I think we could trust him enough to go out there and do certain things on the football field, and then we could be more aggressive in other spots. But just
Hmm.
his performance just has not been great, and it's just upsetting. And um, good to see Max Melton getting time. Um, but that corner situation, we still are going to be looking for a guy that we can really can trust that can call our CB1. So it's just when your CB1 is that level, like it's just kind of frustrating because as you know, your boy Pat, who I still respect from what he's done on this team, was such a good corner, such a CB1 for us for so long that like you want that feeling, but you can see what that was able to help with your defense and the things that you were able to add on to that. So
Do. Hmm.
it's just we'll get over it, but obviously, I mean, you want to talk about it. Our boy got in the game and was impactful. Our boy got in the
Finally.
game was impactful. We've been calling for that on this pod here for a while now. Like to play Rabbit. It's at the end of the day, you look at the numbers. He goes out there. He's sticky in coverage. He tackles well and he makes plays. That's that
What
that
else more do you need him
that to
to
me
like?
is
What else more do you
sounds
want
like
to
a
see?
defender to me. Sounds like a
Yeah.
DB to me. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
but maybe we don't know much. Like sounds like a DB to me. So like his performance and obviously he graded out great with PFF. He seems to be a PFF darling, which to me it's kind of weird. I don't know how certain players are always like ranked so highly and stuff like that. He's been one of them since college. He's been ranked so highly. So maybe
Hmm.
it's something that he's doing in terms of that grading scale that's just perfection. But how did you feel about seeing Rad play and finally making an impact and hopefully this opening the gates to him having more opportunities on that football field?
Yeah. I guess real quick before we get into DTD Rabbit, looks like Joe had a comment here. He said he thinks Sean Murphy Bunting was always expected to be a stopgap cornerback until someone they draft, Melton maybe, Garrett Williams becomes a true CB1. I kind of agree with that. I was joking this past week with some of my friends because they were just asking me like who's on the Cardinals defense, and I'm like, we got a bunch of guys on here that like you probably didn't even know that they were still in the league. Like you know who Sean Murphy Bunting is from the Buccaneers, but you're probably like you haven't heard that name in forever. And when I tell you he's the Cardinals CB1, you're like, really? That's y'all cornerback one? Like,
Right.
yeah. So I kind of agree that he was probably always expected to be a stopgap. With the expectation that, or with the hope that Max Melton or Garrett or Elijah Jones, who like we haven't seen this year at all. I don't. Is he hurt? I think he's hurt.
Yeah,
Um,
he's still
to
hurt.
yeah, to be that CB1. Um, so, but I'm honestly I'm not too worried about Sean Murphy Bunting. I feel like anything is better than Marco last year, and like as long as he just remains solid and just doesn't fall into like complete trash territory, then it is
Right.
what it is. Because I do agree that the expectation is that he's probably a stopgap cornerback.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
Dana
I'm still
said that
hurt from last week. I think I'm still hurt from last week and him reaching out like that.
with
I think
the pass
that play
interference,
was
which was
just
totally unnecessary. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
just
That
so
was totally
impactful on the
unnecessary.
brain.
Yeah, nah. But Dana said Max is great. Max is great, definitely encouraging. I think she's talking about Max Melton. I didn't get a chance to look at the PFF grade, so I don't really know what's going on with that. But as far as Rabbit though, we saw him come in and make that one that pass breakup against I want to say it was Ayuk or Debo, whoever in the slot.
That was Debo.
And it's
Debo.
like, yeah, against Debo in the slot, and it's like this is what we need. You know what I'm saying? Like we need a cornerback who is going to be sticky in press coverage or man-to-man coverage, specifically in the slot, because we're always getting beat on third down with easy in routes or out routes from that slot position.
Yeah.
Um, And it was just good to see that, hey, once he got on the field, he made plays. And it's like, I don't know what else the coaching staff needs to see in order for them to play him. I will say though, like Jalen Thompson played a lot better than he has in the past. So like that's encouraging in that like okay, they're leaving Thompson out here and he's actually at least he's actually making plays now, right? Like
Yeah,
he's expected to be a playmaker on the defense, so at least he's actually doing that. But still they need to figure out a way to get DTD Rabbit on the field. Somehow, bro. They need to figure out a way to keep him on the field and give him more snaps. I think he only had like 20 snaps last week.
yeah. I need more than that.
Um, yeah, he
I
needs
need
way more
like
than that. He
35,
needs way more than
40
that.
at this point.
Yeah, for sure. And
But
I
it's
don't
like
know what the
but it's
extent.
like I was gonna
Mhm.
say in a game like this, you would have thought you would have saw 35, 40 because of the injury to Garrett Williams. So like if Garrett
To
Williams
Garrett, yeah,
who's practiced both days this week so far, like if he's back, like do you see less? Do you now see back to 5, 10 snaps? Because it's like
well, I think
you start thinking about who's going to come off the field, and I know they like to rotate, but like Starlin Thomas usually starts out there on the outside, so does SMB.
right,
Then if Garrett comes in, you're not taking your two safeties off the field. Where do you go outside of putting 6 DBs on the field, which is something that we shouldn't do, obviously. So, um,
right, and I think they probably I feel like the game plan probably was like, hey, we're gonna rotate between Keytrail and Rabbit and see which guy just goes out there and balls out and probably roll with that guy. And I feel like depending on Garrett, which I don't know the extent of Garrett's injuries, like I don't know how long he's gonna be out, but if he's out this week against Green Bay, like I feel like you have to give Rabbit 35 plus snaps. Like I feel like he should be that guy on the field for you in the slot.
yeah, yeah. So I agree. I just I need them to commit to it. I don't need them to stop doing it just because I
Yeah, don't play around with it. Like
yeah
let
don't
that
play
man go be
around with it.
great.
Exactly. Like he you can tell like again like I keep talking about this like I follow him on Instagram like I watch his stories pop up all the time for me like you can tell he's itching,
Mhm.
he's ready kind of to get he wants to get on that field badly, and like at the end of the day I can live with the if things aren't changing, putting something out there that could possibly change it. Like at the end of the day, um that's kind of how I want him to be on the field because I think he can make plays for this defense as he did, and I
Yeah,
would love for that to continue. So uh,
yeah,
the front seven obviously. We talked about the linebackers a little bit earlier. They also did have a great game. Still, so I want to shout out to at least Mac Wilson had a pretty good game. Kaiser made the play at the end. Uh, just overall, just making an impact. What type of impact? Like, can this front seven possibly make? Obviously, Darius Robinson returned off of IR. So his practice window has a couple
been
days to
open.
be
Hmm.
opened up. Doesn't look like it'll be opened up this week. I don't think he practiced today, and he didn't do much in drills yesterday. So don't think his window will be opened up. But obviously, you're getting closer and closer to that point where he is added to this defense, and like, is this going to change this defensive line movement? Like, because again, they were kind of, to me, I thought they played the run pretty well against San Fran outside of a few broken plays that happened for Mason. Maybe he broke a tackle or two in the backfield, or maybe he had a perfect hole, I would say. So I think his yardage kind of lies in terms of his percentages per carry. Um, but like, obviously, you're going to deal with more and more running teams. You got Josh Jacobs this week, the Chargers
Yeah,
next week, I believe, with how they like to run the ball. So like,
yeah, Norman Wilson.
um,
Yeah,
are we going to be able
or
to live with this
Greg
bend don't
Roman.
break defense? Is this bend don't break defense gonna be able to get us through these next couple games?
I feel like as long as the offense um supports it, like how we saw second half complimentary football, like if the defense gets a stop, your offense can go down there and capitalize. I feel like we should be good. Um, but if we continue to see what we saw like against Washington in second half of basically every game minus the Rams game, um, then I don't know. I don't know if the defense and the team is going to be able to sustain winning. Um, so really, they just got to continue to play complementary football. Honestly, that's how I look at it. The offense needs to keep doing its thing, and the defense, like what the defense is. The defense is going to have its ups, it's going to have its downs. And you just need to hope that the offense, which you expected to be the strength of your team this year, is that. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm yearning for a really good like stifling defense. Um, I just I just really like seeing those
I
the type of
Yeah,
defenses
yeah,
play.
and
But at the same time, like if you're a turnover defense, which this kind of defense kind of has been this year, not that much. Like obviously you didn't turn the ball over, turn what's it called, Washington over much. But I
mhm.
believe Detroit you forced two, I believe, or was it? It should have been two, I should say. Should have been two in Detroit versus Detroit. Um, and then who do we play before Detroit? I'm already forgetting now. It's been such a
We played
long year.
the Rams. I think that
Oh
was
yeah,
before, right?
I don't.
Yeah,
Did they? I don't know. They didn't force too many turnovers, but I think they had a lot of turnover on downs, which if you want to count those as well. So, just
yeah,
if you're that type of defense, right? Like it should be good enough to last with, like we said, with this level of offense that we can provide overall. So, uh,
yeah.
it was a this defense. It is what it is. Like 23 points
And
was holding you held them enough to you held them enough to enough points for your offense to take the lead and win the game. Like at the end of the day,
yeah,
each game by game basis, like I mean, you just saw the Ravens defense give up 41. Nobody's complaining about their defense, obviously, or 38. But obviously, nobody like nobody thinks their defense is bad. But at the same time, they did just give up 38 points. Like they can go out here next week and give the Commanders only 13 points. Like so,
hmm
it's week by week thing. Like at the end of the day, however it looks, enough can the defense make enough stops to help this offense take a lead and win the game?
and I think the hope is that you get a guy like Darius back, and that he becomes that guy that is able to consistently win one-on-ones, um, in the pass rush, and that takes
Yep,
pressure off of everybody. It takes pressure off of, obviously, the players on the field, but it also takes pressure off of Nick Rallis.
yep,
And I feel like Nick Rallis has his times where, like how we're talking about Marv overthinks stuff. I feel like Nick Rallis has his times where he overthinks things, where it's like, dude, why are you sending this crazy blitz on like third down? You know what I'm saying? Like, just play
yep,
cover. Like, he has his times where he overthinks stuff. And I feel like that hurts us a lot more sometimes than the players actually on the field.
yeah,
And if you get somebody, if Darius Robinson comes into the lineup and he shows that, hey, like I can win my one on ones, I can be that guy, which he's a first
yep.
round pick. Who knows? He could be. Um, then I think that's your hope that, okay, that can kind of stabilize the defense.
Yeah, you turn a lot of those blitzes that you saying about Robinson. I think even with Robinson, I think he still probably will be aggressive. But like you turn a lot of those 6, 7 man blitzes that you've seen sometimes from us, those going to turn into
Yeah,
more 5 man
five.
blitzes and how creative
Mm-hmm.
can those be? And then even so, maybe 4 man rushes with one drop and like simulated pressures up front. Obviously, like you would love to see that come to fruition, obviously, but um, if Darius Robinson can be that for you, then that'll be good to see.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you mentioned like when Nick Ross overthinking, like I think you're 100% right because he has his bad moments, but he has his good moments at the end. But in that overtime where it was like that was a pretty perfectly dialed, not overtime, that their last drive, that was a pretty
Yeah,
perfectly dialed up
blitz to get
what's
the
it called,
pick.
blitz to get that interception
Mm-hmm.
because he literally we probably I probably at that point been sending forward for a good amount of time in the game and seeing him obviously dial up a little blitz from the safety position right there that opened up the gap from having too many men rushing at the quarterback and
Mm-hmm.
he held the ball because he had got greedy. He was so used to holding the ball for so long in that game that he got greedy and was able to we were able to force that tip for an interception. So good to
Mm-hmm.
see. Good to see.
Real quick, I just want to give a score update. Seattle just scored. They're I think the score is 17-23 now.
Oh God.
So they it's a
Oh
whole
God.
quarter left. So they fighting back.
Don't do it again, San Fran. Cause y'all gonna make it look like we was phony. Like I need them to
Look,
get this stop. Like if Seattle does this, then it's just that okay, this really is San Fran. This had nothing to do with the Cardinals. Like I need to see, San Fran step on them right now. But unfortunately, we need them to go 0-3. So it's a bad predicament right now, obviously.
yeah, I think Brock Purdy about to Brock Purdy right now. And as like I said at the beginning of the podcast, for me at least, any week that the Niners lose is a good week in my book. Like I'm having a good week no matter what happened that week. If the Niners lost, we good.
I
So
agree.
that's how I feel.
I agree.
Um, Anything else you want to talk about with the defense, or did you want to kind of move on to briefly talking about this Packers game?
Yeah, we can talk about the Packers game. I think coming up for this one, like I think JG mentioned it perfectly that they like to throw the ball deep a lot. Please, like at
Yeah.
the end of the day, don't let them do that to you. I think you'll see a lot of four-man rushes, and he'll be back there for a while because they will throw the ball deep on us if they choose to not run. Especially this is why I think this game it's so important for you to get out to a lead. I think if you can get out to a 7-0, 10-7 lead, something like that, like and force them to throw the ball and just get a couple stops in the run game here and there, this will be a game where you'll force Jordan Love to throw a turnover because he's gonna think if his receivers are gonna be better than your DBs probably based on tape, and if you can just force him to take chances and you win your one-on-one chances, like you can get turnovers on them
Hmm.
and you can slow them down because they will throw that bitch deep. I give it to him. Like JG was right 1,000%. They will throw it deep, and they will test us. And we saw Jordan Love throw a ball in triple coverage and they still got a catch. Like is that going to happen this week? I hope it happens because he's
Didn't
going to have to get his
didn't
big one.
Jordan Love didn't Jordan Love have a Kyler Murray esque interception in the red
Absolutely, and it
zone
seems like
during
nobody
the
wants to talk about it because they won a game, and it makes me so frustrated. Like it's ridiculous. Like it happens. People make mistakes,
yeah,
but
yeah.
but but apparently ours made a mistake because he didn't study the film enough. Like that's why.
Hey
So
man, just it's that's narratives, bro. It's narratives, bro. But
yeah,
no, as far as this game, I kind of agree with you when it comes to Jordan Love like being or they're them passing the ball a lot. Like I kind of akin like the Green Bay offense to kind of like the Texans offense in that they just kind of let CJ Stroud drop back and just do whatever. The same with Green Bay, they let Jordan Love just drop back and do whatever. A lot of like four wide receiver sets or three
yep.
wide receiver tight end in the slot set. Um, a lot of throwing the ball, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Like if we get up early, we force them to just be one dimensional and just kind of sit on that. Like Jordan Love probably is going to give us a turnover for sure. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think back to the last time that we went to Green Bay. Do you remember the last time we went to Green Bay?
Of course, I definitely do.
It was 2018. 2018. We won 3 games that year. We beat 2 teams that year and won 3 games.
Yep.
But Josh Rosen went to Green Bay and beat Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in Green Bay for the upset of probably the season that season.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty
Nope.
sure. I think you said what?
I was gonna say no bullshit. That game was the game that made me buy a jersey of his, and I regret it to this day. That dude, you don't understand it. Like again, we were shitty that year. The amount of shit I was talking after that game,
We were garbage,
I
bro.
said, I said, I said, my quarterback just beat Aaron Rodgers and he got your coach fired. We are up. Like we are up.
Oh snap! Nah, I was hyped that game too. That was back when we had Chad Williams as our wide receiver 2, I'm sure, and like JJ Nelson as our wide receiver 1 or something like that. I
Yeah,
don't
they were
know.
nasty.
Bad times, dark times. I've spoken on this podcast many times how I don't ever wish to see a season or a team like that 2018 team or that 2018 team. But we went into Green Bay and beat them at our lowest. I have I'm not gonna say that we're gonna win, but I have the utmost confidence that we're gonna go into Green Bay this time and be competitive. So
Yeah, I
looking
never
forward.
talked about the schedule with y'all, but when y'all were talking about the schedule in that video, that's when I was in the comments. I was saying I didn't care what it was. We were going to beat Green Bay and Green Bay. For some reason, I feel like
Okay.
we have their number, and at
Hmm.
the end, of, just franchise wise, we seem to have their number somehow, some way. Outside of them, obviously having success with Super Bowls and stuff like that. But when they played us recently, even when we go up there, we've had some a little bit of success. So uh, I could
Yeah.
I could definitely see a dub for us in this game, and I could see this literally the way we fashioned it. I know Dana. I just read her comment uh, talking about Trey McBride. I was thinking the same exact thing. Trey McBride over the middle should eat as long as you get Xavier McKinney to just don't make a mistake versus him. Like I think that's the biggest thing is don't make a mistake versus him. Obviously, a player that has a pick in every game this year. Um, just don't make a mistake versus him over the middle, and be smart about it. And
Yeah,
like she said, if she can draw their attention away from other stuff, certain players right underneath them should eat. So I would love to see Trey McBride have a great game.
yeah. And she said they've been generating turnovers and Kyler's been limiting them. I feel like Kyler has been really good with his ball security this year in terms of like
Absolutely.
throws. The obviously like we talked about in the Niners game, like Bosa making a crazy play. Um, which it was. I mean, insane play for him to make. But the only other turnover that he had was the throw that he threw to Kirby Joseph in the Lions game. And like to me, I thought it was open. He just kind of underthrew the ball a little bit. So it's like the process was right. It's just you didn't execute, you know? So like I feel like he's been doing a good job of putting the ball in like, good places and been taking care of the ball that way. So I'm not really worried about um him turning the ball over in this game, even though Xavier McKinney has been a good pickup for them this year at safety. I don't know if Jair is playing for them. I know he's been banged up. I don't know if he's back. Um, but I don't think we're gonna have any problems moving the football on them.
Yeah, I don't know if he's playing either, but we'll see.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about with that game? Maybe well, did you want to do a score prediction or
Like I said, I don't know where it would be end up at. Um,
Mhm.
at the end of the day, like it is what it is. Just need more than there.
Yeah.
You just need more than them at the end of the day. Whatever number it is, you just need more than them. And I think this offense
Yeah.
can do it.
Yeah. And I know at least for me, in terms of like where we're at in the season sitting at 2-3, um, I expected us to be 2-3, maybe 3-2 at this point. Obviously I expected us to beat the Commanders, but I did not expect us to beat the Niners going into the season. So like that balances out and now you're which we talked about in the last podcast. Now you're 2-0 in the division, which is honestly if you're 2-3, at least you're 2-0 in the division, right? Um so even if we win or lose this game, I'm not necessarily sweating it because I think I had us losing this game, but I feel like I'm comfortable enough right now, with this team and what I'm seeing on the field. After the Commanders game, I was not comfortable. But seeing what they
Yeah,
did last week and seeing them rally on the road, I'm pretty comfortable with this team. And what I've been saying this year too is like what I need to see from JG is like at a minimum, can you win your division games? Like if you
yep,
can't win your division games, then you can't win in the division. Like it's gonna be tough for us, right? Like going forward. So like I've seen now he's won 2 division games. He's won against the Rams, who even though they're kind of depleted, like they still I mean, they beat the Niners this year too. But that's a team that we haven't been able to beat in the past. He was able to do that. And
yeah,
he went on the road and beat the Niners. So like right now I'm content with everything, with how the team is looking, how the coaches have been right now, at least. So I feel like we're moving in the right direction. I can say that.
yeah. That was a good like as you mentioned like team morale win in terms of like or a fan. I wouldn't even say team morale because I don't even think it was down after that Commander game, but I think it was a good fan morale game this week. Um, like
Yeah.
just for everybody just to relax their nerves a little bit because a lot of people were kind of upset on the timeline after the Commanders game, and reasonably so. But like, I just think overall, just fan morale is up 1,000 after the team you beat and the way that your team won the game, and seeing as things go right, you kind of get that faith back in them. And not to say it was gone, but it was hurting very badly after the Commanders game because of who you lost to. Still not gonna be over that for a
Yeah.
while. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. But yeah, so good to see, and obviously, like I said, I think we can go in there, and I think we can handle business, and I think that's easy work for us. Not easy work for us. Let me calm down because this is the first time I feel
Hmm.
so brash about a game this year. But I just think somehow, some way, we're gonna win this game. Jonathan Gannon will be the first time is winning 2 games in a row, but I think somehow we'll be able to sneak away with this
Really?
game. Yeah, this will be his first time winning 2 in a
Yeah.
row.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I think this game you just somehow sneak away with a game in Green Bay, and take yourself to 3-3 and level yourself with a bunch of NFC contenders. Which, if you want to make the playoffs this year, all you got to do,
Yeah,
stay level, get high at the end.
yeah. Dana said the thing that worries her on defense versus the Packers is the outside contain on Love. We've been allowing running quarterbacks to get the first down there. Yeah, that worries me with any running quarterback.
But
I don't
but
even
you
want to
see,
say
like,
running quarterback, just
yeah,
decently mobile quarterback.
but you
Like
see, the thing is, okay, to me, like watching him play, like I think he wants to throw the ball way more than he wants to run. So to me,
he
let him.
does. Yeah,
You want to run, you can run. I think at the end of the day, you shut it down in the red zone. If you shut down his mobility in the red zone, you'll be fine. Like if he wants to use his legs to get down the field, go ahead and do it. Like because to me, he's not super fast to get away from us crazily like that. Like that's just
yeah,
my opinion now. So um,
yeah, and I
I would
think
hate to see him go crazy, but yeah.
I also agree with you, like, even if we are letting him run, he's not gonna take it every time because he wants to pass the ball. Like, he's not just gonna run da I don't think he's just gonna if we just let him run, I don't think he's just gonna run down the field, like, every drive, like, he might do it a couple of times, and then after that, like, he's gonna continue to look down the field to pass the ball because that's just kinda who he is, or at least that's who I feel Jordan Love is a guy that just loves throwing the football. Um
Yeah.
but I mean, yeah, I mean, we get killed by it could be Geno Smith, it could be I don't know, somebody with just some decent mobility, they're gonna kill us in the run game. But that's just I feel like that's just like what our like personnel wise, like we just don't have a fast front seven, in my opinion. Like we don't have guys that are super quick sideline to sideline outside of like Mac Wilson
Hmm.
and probably Owen Papo. So
Yeah. It'll be
yeah.
cool. It'll be cool. I think somehow, some way, you'll force a turnover here, maybe two turnovers, maybe force two turnovers this game, um, and you obviously slow them down. But if they now, it'll be interesting if they've been on their film game and if they're akin to doing more of a short and passing game. Because if they choose to do a
Mhm.
shorter passing game, I think it'll be a big game for like Wicks because he had a bunch of targets and didn't make any catches last week, and I had him on fantasy, of course. But Wicks, and
That's how
then
that
I think
goes.
this could
Yeah.
be a big Jaden Reed game, and if Dobbs actually does play, this would be his type of game to have success in. So, uh, we'll see what they choose to do, but somehow, some way, I think we'll be able to sneak away with one.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I feel like we probably gonna find a way to get it done.
Mhm. Yes, sir. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I know enjoying this win. I'm still gonna enjoy this win. Probably even through Sunday, I'll be able to enjoy this last win just because of the team who it is. So feeling good
Look,
about that one.
I was gonna if we like we were teetering losing that game, and if we would have lost, man, I let me tell you when I hate losing. I hate losing when we're playing on national television. And granted, it's not a primetime game, or it wasn't a primetime game. It
Yeah.
was the Fox game of the week, at least in my area. I think the other game was like I don't
No,
know,
let me
some game
no
that nobody
no
cared
no.
about.
Let me tell you. No, let me tell you. That was the prime time game of the week. Everybody's watching. Nobody
Okay,
stops watching at 4 o'clock. That was a prime time game, and that came on in Fox
yeah,
in my area. So everybody was
yes,
watching that. So
yeah. So
yeah,
I hate
shout out Kyler, shout out Tom Brady.
for real because like my phone is blowing up from like just all my friends, like everybody. Like I'm. It's not that many Cardinals fans in Atlanta, right? Like I'm probably
Yeah.
one of 10, and like the people that know me, that like my friends, like they're the Cardinals are playing on TV. Like man, what's going on in the game? Blah blah blah. Like oh, who's this?
Yeah.
Who's this? Michael Wilson dude? Like he's making play. Like all this stuff, and it's just like, please don't let us lose on national television because everybody's gonna be talking about how shitty we are. Uh, when it's actually not the case. But
Hmm.
oh man, so I'm just glad that we got that dub.
Yeah, me too. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, yeah, I'm glad we got that dub. Last thing before we get out of here, Dana said only one on the line, edge proper fast in the 4-7 is Gardeck, Mac Wilson, and Papo's speed is definitely welcome. Yeah, and as much as I love Gardeck, like Gardeck is look. Let me just say this: like next year, when I know we address the defensive line, when you got Gardeck as your third option. when you have BJ Ojolari as your second option, like we gonna
Mhm.
be straight. So
Yeah,
I'ma just like we just don't got the horses right now, and it's okay. Like I feel like they're making do.
and I know the sacks aren't there obviously, and Kyle Van Noy this year has 6 sacks, which is crazy to me. But um, Zayvon Collins throwing that edge, being a great run defender. PFF grades are great now, and setting the
Bro,
tone on edges.
he's quietly been like a solid, like a just a solid edge rusher. Like he's
Yeah,
not making hardly any mistakes.
yeah,
I know you were kind of upset. Was that him that missed the tackle on Brock Purdy to
yeah.
start
When he
off the
got juked
game?
out, I said, come on, bro. I said, no way. Like that's that you shouldn't fall for a big move from Brock Purdy. Like that shouldn't be happening. But
Yeah,
we
but
got up, got on our
he's
feet.
quietly yeah, he's been really good. Yeah,
So just seeing his success. Again, you want the sacks to be there, but he's never going to be a pass rush specialist. Like let's just get over it. They
yeah,
signed him to be a good, solid edge run defender, and that's what you need on first and second down. So he'll play a lot of football. It is what it is.
yeah.
His
And
contract lives up to just
run
about that.
defense, the run defense ain't been as bad as it's been in the past. Like,
It gets
it,
Detroit runs the ball a lot. Washington runs
yeah,
the ball a lot. Those are two run heavy teams. Like you're a lot of teams are going to get you. When we see Seattle, they got gashed by them. Like things happen like that. Like you can't just say like this defense is based off of that. Like at the end of the day, you look at it and they sit there and they have, as long as they don't get gashed from long runs time and time and time again, you'll see a lot of runs where 5 yards or so. So it
yeah,
is what it is.
yeah. She said Dana said tackling is an issue. Tackling has been an issue. Um, it has been an issue. It's been frustrating too. Um, but again, I feel like that's just also. I mean, I guess it's probably partly coaching, but then at the same time, it's also the guys that you got out there. Like we're still dealing with from a talent wise, like probably like a bottom 10 defense talent wise.
Yeah, definitely,
Now
definitely,
they're able to get schemed up to be better than that at times, like we saw second half. Like they're able to get schemed up better than that, but like talent wise and the guys you got out there, like we're still dealing with like bottom half or bottom 10 talent. So I feel like that's kind of what goes into that.
definitely, definitely. So
Yeah. All right, I think that's all from me. If you got anything
yeah,
else for this
not.
episode,
I'll say yeah. No, that's it for me too. Our brother Jake couldn't get in here.
yeah,
Uh, he's out on the road, almost heading down to his new home, which it will be down there in the beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. So shout out to him and his success and getting his promotion and being able to move out there, take his family out there, and maybe be able to start a life out there. As a Cardinals fan, I know that's amazing to see. So
yeah.
happy
Shout
for
out to
him,
Jake.
and we'll be down there visiting him while we're down there for the game in Patriots versus hopefully now looking like a game that will hopefully matter for this football team. So um, it'll
Yeah,
be fun to see him out there and then getting a link up in real life.
yeah. Yeah, and that's true. I gotta hop on the road tomorrow. I'm going to LSU tomorrow for homecoming, so I'll be
Oh
down there
yes,
for a little
sir.
bit.
There you go.
Yeah. We got 10, I think 11 minutes left in this game, so we're gonna see what Seattle do. They down by 6. I think San Fran got the ball, so we'll see.
We'll see. All right, bro.
All right. Okay. Well, appreciate
Yeah,
y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all, everybody in the chat for showing up. I think we had like 7 people in the comments or watching today, so good turnout.
appreciate y'all.
All right. Catch y'all on the next one.
Yes, sir.